So welcome guys once again to the woodshed slash scriptorium, cum shebeen, or whatever you may like to call it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, and of course close the door on your way in to keep the draft out. Winter is approaching. My apologies for the long period of radio silence. Of late I have been busy this summer staving off madness, financial ruin, and the relentless contrivances of the psychotic corporate prostitutes that run our country, and their pecuniary compulsion to rapine, violation and slavery. All of which, ironically enough, brings me to this fourth instalment of the sprawling epic on Táin Cooley and its prequel, or reimhscéal, the third sorrow of storytelling, Deirdre agus Uisneach. For this carving I thought to attempt to encompass the third of the three sorrows of storytelling, and so I will carve three characters in one. I will be carving in a beautiful piece of white birch that was given to me by Gavin and Naoise Marley of marleytreecare and Marley Designs. A big shout out to the guys. Links to their amazing work that they're doing will be in the description below. So, beginning with that non-human form that has fascinated man for the longest time, and certainly our earliest hunting ancestors, and that form is the horse. From the earliest time and for thousands of years before domestication, the power and form of the horse has captured our imagination. In the caves of Peshmerl, Chauvet and Lascaux in France, Paleolithic artists expressed in incredible anatomical detail that form and their admiration for the animal's singular majesty, represented by their own hands, frozen in time, reaching out to touch the mystery. One horse image in particular from Lascaux captures my attention, and that is this one here, a painting of a clearly pregnant mare cantering in long meadow grass. She relates to the character which I am carving and the story of that character, and again makes me wonder about the voices of our dear departed ancestors. The horse I am carving is not just any horse, but is the archetypal Irish horse, and her name is Macha, the nightmare. Macha is one of the most prominent of the old Gaelic female triple war deities, known as the Marigna. To the Welsh, she is known as Rhiannon, to the Etruscans and to the Gauls as Zepona, and she is recognised as far away as County America by Native American tribes, as was relayed to us by a Cherokee medicine woman that once wandered into the family butcher shop and instantly recognised my Uncle Michael's carving of Macha as the dream pony that carries Rainbow Warrior into the afterlife. Macha's dominion over the worlds and the fate of men is attested in the telling of the Táin, where, as the story goes, Macha, the daughter of San Imbe, one time was wandering Ulster, apparently with the mad goo on her for a husband. She wandered the byways of Ulster, seeking for herself a random, lonely farmer to wed. The household that she settled upon was that of a widower by the name of Chracters, and upon finding the home of Chracters, she circled the flagstone of his front door 3 times until he took her in. Truth be told, she barely made it around the flagstone the one time, and hardly had the pair of them touched the bed before twins were conceived. Such was her love for Chracters that she then stayed on to cook him breakfast and look after his household thereafter. And so things were going swimmingly until the day came that they were invited to the annual races at the dun of the King of Ulster. While taking in the steeplechase, and presumably after too much to drink and too many ripped up betting slips, Chracters, her husband, proclaims aloud to the king, all the king's jockeys and all the king's men, that his own pregnant wife could ride faster than the lot of them. The king and assembled warriors in turn demanded that Chracters prove his claim. Not one to climb down from Mount Stupid, Uisneach forced his wife, Macha, to race against the king's horsemen. And indeed, ride she did. She rode into prehistory, furlongs ahead of the king's finest horses and jockeys. But tragically, and not at all surprisingly, the race brought on Macha's labour, childbirth and death. With her final breath, Macha cursed the fighting men of Ulster for 9 generations to suffer the pain of labour when in the hour of their greatest need. The royal fortress from then on was named Evan Macha, literally translated as Macha's twins, which is Navan Fort today. And the county of Armagh, wherein lies Navan Fort, is also named for her, Ord Wacha, the height of Macha. And so her association with Ulster and royalty is primary, it seems. The nightmare, as she is known, or as dream pony to the Cherokee, has obvious connotations with the otherworld, but also connotations with darkness, nighttime itself, and the subconscious hours of sleep. And so my thoughts, as always, when it comes to sleepy time, my thoughts lead me to the night sky, where in the frosty winter months we find her, at her zenith, the enormous constellation of Pegasus, the winged horse who carries the Hellenic Greek heroes Perseus and Andromeda into the sky world, the afterlife, disintegration amongst the stars, or what has come to be known rather unimaginatively as death. This mytheme of the hero astride the sky horse is repeated throughout the folktales of the world, and particularly among the prehistoric horse peoples of the Eurasian steppe. In this piece that I'm carving, the Hellenic Andromeda and Perseus in their Gaelic form as Deirdre and Naoise, in the Brittonic telling they are Tristan and Isolde, and this story of the lovers is as old and fashionable as love itself. In the Irish telling, they surface in many guises, Diarmid and Grania, Niamh and Oisin. But in the story of the Táin, this was the way of it. The young Deirdre, yet to be born to the wife of the great Shanakee, Phelimid MacDowell, favoured bard of King Connachor of Ulster. In the midst of a great feast in the dun of the king, Phelimid's pregnant wife is serving wine to the warriors of the Craib Rua, the Red Branch, when suddenly, from her swollen tummy, a terrible piercing cry of anguish is heard. It is the cry of the unborn child, says Coffad the Druid, rising from his seat next to the king. She will be named Dord Drefur, or Deirdre, meaning our sister's call, and she will be the most beautiful girl ever born in Ulster. Love for her will divide men's hearts and mean the devastation of the kingdom. Shaking his druid staff, he commanded that the child be destroyed. "No," declared the king. "No, Ulster says no. If she is to be as beautiful as you say, she will surely be my wife. She will be raised in secret, away from the eyes of men, by Laurcum, the woman of the forest. And there she will remain until she is of age that I may take possession of her." And so it was, as the king decreed. The years wore on, and 15 winters passed in the solitude of the deep woods, when one winter's morning, with the snow lying like a blanket on the forest floor, the young Deirdre, while out collecting wood for the fire, heard the muffled beat of horses' hooves approaching through the wood. A horseman came cantering into the clearing where her nursemaid's cottage stood, as he had done every new moon since she could remember. The strange man laid, as he always did, a newly killed stag in the snow before them. On this occasion, however, Deirdre asked Laurcum, "That old grey-haired man with the shiny golden hat, the grey skin and yellow lips, who always comes to feed us, why does he look at me so strangely now with his cold grey eyes?" Laurcum looked up, realising that the day her beloved foster daughter would be taken from her was fast approaching. "Is sé an rí a grá," an Taru Tána Ulu. He is the king, my love, the sire bull of all Ulster, and you are to be his wife. Looking down at the bloody deer that Laurcombe was now dressing in the snow, a raven flew down to settle on its antler. The young Deirdre pondered aloud. I think I would much rather a husband with hair as black as that raven's wing, skin as white as the powdered snow, lips as red as the blood of the stag, and eyes as bright as your blade, shiny hat or no hat. Oh, said Laurcombe, tá aithne gum an múchel sin, with a wink. I know of such a boy. He is Naoise, Prince of Uisneach, and he hunts with his brothers Anla and Ardon on the plain of the Dark Sea, Merhevne, south of these deep woods. You must go seek him out before your next birthday. And as is the way, winter became spring, and spring became summer, and Deirdre made her way to the hunting fields to the south. Emerging from the shade of the trees, she blinked her eyes against the bright sun to see in the distance 3 riders approaching along the trail. Indeed they were Anla, Ardon and Naoise, the 3 sons of Uisneach, returning from the hunt. As they passed Deirdre, the swaggering young Naoise calls to his brothers. Is all in an barracks a cushiarach? Fair are the heifers in this field? To which the haughty Deirdre snapped back. Fossin the very moor gone tarv. The heifers grow big where there are no bulls. Naoise, taken aback by the forthright young princess, stammers back. But have you not the King of Ulster himself for a bull? And Deirdre's honest reply sets in motion the whole epic tragedy of the Táin Cooley. Ba'ar lum tar og croga a eili lumsa. I would much rather a brave young bull to run away with me. Deirdre's words were a spell. As the daughter of a bard, she was gifted with the magic of words. Naoise knew he could not resist, and that the old druid's terrible prophecy would be fulfilled. And so the 3 princes and Deirdre eloped across the sea to Scotland for fear of King Connachor's jealous retribution. Like every generation of Ireland's beautiful youth that emigrate on every tide in search of a future, the young lovers escape an island whose greatest opportunities are reserved for the ample pockets of the grimy grey slacks of creepy old men. But wherever they went, they would be hunted and pursued. Their youth and beauty stoked fires of lecherous desire and covetous jealousy amongst the grey men in their high thrones. The youths watched forever over their shoulders, wore their shields on their backs, and broke camp with each new dawn. In this way, the young hunters became the prey until the time came when flight became second nature to them, and they all but vanished from the world. News of the youths with time began to fade, and the thought of losing his prized possession began to drive King Connachor to despair. And so he devised a plan to send the former King Fergus MacCroach to offer a truce. The former king was well liked by all and trusted by the royal house Uisneach, home of the young princes Naoise, Anla and Ardon, the protectors of young Deirdre. Fergus learned of their whereabouts and went to take them back to Ireland under the protection of his son Fiacha and his own word of honour that they would not be harmed. But upon their return, Fergus was lured away to a feast in his honour, leaving Deirdre and the sons of Uisneach in the protection of his son. Connachor sent then his right-hand man, Owen Dúchach, and his Red Branch Knights to the dun where Deirdre was, with orders to kidnap her and kill the princes. In the battle that ensued, Fergus's son was killed, and though they fought like hounds, the young princes were ultimately captured and executed. The beautiful Deirdre was carried off by the lecherous king and the assassin Dúchach. As they rode together toward Evanmacha, Connachor, noticing the young girl's head bowed under the tremendous weight of broken promises, crushed hopes and stolen dreams, asked her who she hates more, the Taoiseach or his Taoiseach, to which she replied, Mo grán dearag a rinne goibh go chochram go deo, ach ní bhé a goibh mo chorp, ní mo anam rio, no iaru go deo. My eternal hatred you may both share equally forever, but my soul, or my body, not now, not ever. And with that, as they passed a deep gorge on their chariot, Deirdre struggled free from their grasp and threw herself to her death. In the Greek telling, the goddess Athena promises an eternal resting place in the sky for the young princess Andromeda, and places her amongst the stars next to her lover Perseus. For me, the three characters, Macha, the nightmare, Naoise and Deirdre, coexist happily as we have done throughout this telling of the Táin. So thank you all once again for watching this. It was a big story and a big carving, and I will be spending the dark winter months as usual in my creative space, and I'll be creating more content as I go, so please don't forget to like, share, leave a comment, and if you like the content, please do subscribe for more updates. I would also like to wish all my friends and family in County America land a very, very happy, warm and peaceful Thanksgiving, and I hope to see you all soon. Slán is Banach the Live Good Air.